It's time to show them we are more than meets the eye.
Josh, first of all, thank you very much for adding this new edition of Transformers 1 into the Transformers franchise.
My pleasure.
So, going into animation and collaborating with ILM, what was it like pushing boundaries of the animation style you wanted to go for on this?
Yeah, so ILM is an effects house, so they're used to getting individual shots and kind of working within that. This I really wanted to push them to kind of get out of that. I wanted to make sure that it didn't feel like we were trying to do another like an animated version of a live action one, if that makes sense.
Understand, yeah.
So it was important to me that that there was real physics to the world that we're in, and that there were real the lighting was real, but I didn't want it to feel like it was realistic. This was the balance I was trying to discuss with them, and I think they nailed it, which is the word I kept using was believable. I wanted to be believable, that you could reach out and touch it, like it's actually there, it's physically there, but at the same time you're like, but I know that's not real. So there is a little bit more of a hand quality painted to it, like on highlights and stuff like that. We intentionally made it look like almost like globs of paint.
That's right.
But yeah, I love what they did with it. They're amazing. They can do anything.
When you got to see that first like sort of test footage, what was that reaction like?
It was so surreal. It was because we do like this little test, a couple shots, and it was when the train's going across the surface and they're standing on top of it. So it was like, let's see what the surface of the planet looks like and what they look like. Started with a close up and then went wide just to show that off, and it looked really, really great. And whenever we do those test animations, I always love to show executives and then remind them, like, this is the worst it's ever going to look, because it'll only get better from there. And then they go, what? So it was that thing where you're like, this is totally different, and you're like, that's what we're going for. I want something totally different.
It was amazing. You gave it a really nice retro tone to the way it looked. So you're paying homage to what the fans originally loved, to introducing it to new fans. With this, creating something fresh and new, but still honoring the older fans, what was that like, the balance of that?
Well, the good thing is I'm one of the older fans, and so are all the all the people at ILM. They all are huge fans of Transformers, and they all grew up with it. And so that part was kind of easy in the sense of like, okay, what do we want as older fans, and how do we make ourselves happy? But then I always think that if you make something that you're happy with, other people are gonna either feel the joy coming through it or be happy themselves. And so there was never any discussions like, how are we gonna get the kids to love this? It was always like, what do we want? Because we're fans, we love it. So
no, it's amazing.
And just hoping that people enjoy it as well.
Oh, I'm sure they will. I'm taking my little nephew to go watch it once it's out here in the UK. So the other thing was the tone of dialogue with Chris. He's playing a younger version, Orion Pax, before he becomes Prime. What was that like guiding him? Because I know we have a big legacy with Peter.
Yeah.
So you bring Chris into this, a younger version, which does mature. What was that like?
So, from the very beginning, there was a couple things that were concerning to me before as soon as I finished signing the paper to do this, it was like, what are the characters going to look like? We're on a metal planet with metal characters. You got to make sure that reads correctly. Yeah. But then the second thing was the voice of Orion Pax, and I grew up with Peter Cullen. He's he's everybody's Optimus Prime, and Chris and I talked about that, of course. And so the thing that kind of freed my mind was, like, it's not Optimus, it's Orion Pax. Like, he will eventually become that, and that allowed us to push his character to be a little more, not as refined, and he doesn't have all the knowledge and the wisdom and the power that Optimus has. So it was like, it was really freeing, actually. Yeah. And Chris was having a lot of fun with it. He would improvise a lot with the lines and just kind of make him looser, and more natural. And there was one point when we were reading through the script and he got to the kind of the narration towards the end, and he started to like really find the posture, and he's standing up as he's recording, and he started to have the different pauses in between the words, and I was like, "Whoa!" I really got goosebumps from it. And,
that must have been amazing.
And I asked him, I said, "What are you doing right now?" And he said, "I wanted to try maybe kind of going in that direction. And I was like, absolutely, we should definitely do that. And we just needed to find where exactly. So we played around with, was it too early, too late? And we found that balance, I think. And by the end of it, it was just like, yeah, he's definitely on his way to becoming Optimus.
That's amazing. That's amazing. You do something really well in this as well with the tone of the film. So you've got your humor, but then you let the kind of dark moments really kind of sit out. But because it was crucial to the story,
You have to.
But it was really well done, where I felt like you didn't punch in another joke straight after. It was like you let it ride out. And
I know, I knew that I wanted to have a really. I'm trying to like create what I remember the feeling I had watching it. Watching the original show.
Yeah.
And so the jokes are important to me, but also they're enemies at the end of the day, and they're going to have a war on the planet that leads to Earth eventually. So. It's like Star Wars is a perfect example where you've got the fun of these characters, those characters together, but Obi-Wan dies. Like there's real stakes.
That's right.
And so I know there was talk about, well, the trailers are too jokey and everything. It's like, we don't want to show all the cool stuff yet, know? So I wanted that to be a surprise. I'm glad.
I only watched the first trailer and I didn't watch the rest that came out. Only because I wanted to be like fully fresh as I went in.
Oh, good.
The soundtrack's great
Yeah.
on this movie, so compliments.
Brian Tyler.
Because it's so good. Like as soon as I left, I was like, I need this on my phone so I can listen to it.
It's a phenomenal soundtrack.
Definitely is. You've voiced some characters in the past. In this one, you bring Skyrap to life. What was that like? Was that something you wanted to do? It was like, I want to get into this.
The way it happened was, excuse me, we record a lot of scratch dialogue. So before we get the actual actors, we'll be trying out different lines and everything. And so I'll be sitting in editorial with my editor, Lynn, and I'd grab my iPhone and just, read lines into my iPhone, send it directly to her. And so for a lot of the movie, a lot of the time we're working on it, it's just me saying all the lines, saying Optimus, saying everybody, and knowing it's going to get replaced. So sometimes when there are like these side characters, they're the very last ones you cast because you're getting the loop group to come in and do it. And we recorded the loop group, and then I go in to see what Lynn's done, and still my voice in there. I go, What do you do? We recorded that. She goes, no, I like you better.
Oh, brilliant.
I'm like, well, okay, but we recorded she goes, no, you're it. So she won't let me change it. So
brilliant.
So yeah,
you get to be a part of the Transformers universe.
No, I'm not complaining at all. I love it.
Say.
I love it. But it was definitely my editor who cast me in the movie.
That's nice. Good. That's absolutely awesome. Another thing with Keegan on the cast, how was it like trying to keep be serious without laughing so hard? What was that like?
I have a ripped core
from
just trying to hold in the laughter. I just have a washboard out. It's crazy. No, it's really hard. It's very hard. I'm sitting there literally biting my fingers and trying to not laugh out loud because I let him run. I let him go because he's got a brilliant mind. And the greatest thing about him is that he comes up with amazing material but it's all on point. It's not like going off into the weeds and kind of saying whatever. Everything he says we could use. And it's actually makes my job really hard because then I have to go through hours of tape and just listen and find exactly what we... and sometimes you got to cut out stuff. You're like, oh, it's so good though, but it takes too long or,
Totally understand.
So, he's so much fun to work with. And I've worked with him before on Toy Story 4, so we have a really great shorthand, which makes... I can just kind of throw stuff out there, and he goes, "Oh yeah," and then runs with it. And
that's amazing.
Yeah.
No, it must have been a great laugh. I'm an animation guy, so working on storyboards and seeing these characters come to life, there's a satisfaction in when you see it come to life.
Yeah.
What was that like for you when going from sketches, storyboards, and graphics?
Yeah, that's a great question. You understand the process. It really, there's certain moments where it really comes to life, and it is like the first time you see an animated shot, like something that's animated, even if it's just them walking, or test animation, you're like, oh, this is a movie. There's certain moments you go, oh, this is real, and it really takes a jump ahead. So there's that. There's the first time you record a voice, and then all of a sudden it kind of changes how you always thought the line would be read. It now it has a different take on it, which is always great. And then when you hear the score, there's very few moments in an animated movie that are like improvised moments, and
That's
like
right.
where you haven't planned for it. Like we usually in animation, you're planning every breath, every single blink. You know.
That's right.
But those moments are the ones where you're like, oh, I didn't expect that, and those are the ones I really get excited about.
Oh, that's absolutely amazing. Last question was, if you was to be a Transformer, who would you be?
Out of the existing Transformers,
No, you could go for all the way. You could go all the way back.
who would I be? Who do I want to be, or who
Yeah.
am I for real? Oh man.
Got you there.
I mean, I would want to be Optimus because he's just the best one.
Yeah.
I don't know who I am.
Okay.
Who am I?
Oh no, you're still working on that.
Yeah.
All right. Last question, and which has gone straight out of my head because this has been absolutely amazing. This is an origin story. It's never been done before. You've seen it in comic books. It's never been done in film. Now you've done it in animation. You've done something really new here. What was that like in that process to say we're going to do this?
It's a daunting task to take
Very.
on, but the thing that got me intrigued from the very beginning with this idea was this relationship between the two of them. So we all know they're enemies, but what was it like before that when they were friends? Can we make that work? And I knew if we could make that work, if we could sell these two characters as being best friends from the very beginning, where the audience is like, oh, I like these two guys. I like seeing them together. It feels like a very real relationship.
Yeah.
That I knew by the end of the movie, when they do start to fall apart, that people would get emotional over it and really feel it. And so that was the goal in my head, was I want this relationship to be the thing that carries throughout the entire film. And simplifying it down to that,
That's right.
made me go like, it's not about Transformers really. It's about this very human relationship.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
No, that's absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. The movie's great. I
Thank
can't
you.
wait for everybody to see it.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.